Yes.
You look like an 80s fantasy. Like you're lit.
What?
I see like
What?
blue and purple and pink like in the lighting.
Yes.
And it reminds me of like you see a dream girl across the mall or something.
Stop it. You're going to make me blush. Stop it. Okay, so I'm full disclosure, we're recording earlier than the day than we usually do, because we have an event tonight, which we're very excited about. The virtual screening of a film that we worked on, The Duchess of Grant Park. And I had a little extra time to set up my gear today. And also we recently watched Bo Burnham's Inside.
Yes.
And I feel like I'm going to probably talk about it a couple times in this episode, even though I know this isn't like, the Burning for Bo Burnham podcast or anything like that.
Oh my God. Stop it. No.
But what if it was? Just kidding.
No.
But so I felt after, like, one of the things I was thinking about while I was watching Inside was like his fucking lighting setup and how like amazing everything looked. And I was like, I really need to up my game. I mean, I really identified with the whole, buying new equipment and trying to make my whole virtual, recording setup better and I got a new camera and I got more, but like his shit looked amazing. And so I was like, oh, I have a projector lying around that I'm not really using. And so it looks like a little bit like shit. I don't know. If those of you that are watching the vidcast on our YouTube channel, Critical Crop Tops YouTube channel, can tell me what you think. But so I don't know if you noticed, but I'm projecting behind me a picture from the film.
Adam and Don Quixote.
Yeah,
Javier.
so it's Toby and Don Quixote projected behind me on the wall, like sort of as a background. So I was just really trying to up my visual game here because I feel like Bo Burnham really took it to the next level in his special. And
if you
was
hadn't
envious.
have said anything, I probably wouldn't have noticed it just because it's like so like in the background.
Yeah,
but,
so it's meant to be subtle. And also it's a shitty projector. Like I feel like it needs to be bigger. I don't know. I'm going to work on it. This is the best I could do on short notice.
Well, with your camera focusing on you, it's not focused on the back wall. So it's like, but still like I can totally see that I can recognize that is Adam and the other actor is Jonathan Pryce.
Jonathan Pryce, yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So I'm going to keep trying it out. And I don't want to invite comparisons to Bo Burnham's Inside. Obviously, my setup is
no one
like
does.
Which, by the way, I want you to know that that is not the only thing that I took away from that special is his lighting setup. I feel like my soul has been transformed after watching that special, and I've watched it a couple of times now. And again, I realize this is not this is not a Bo Burnham fan podcast by any stretch, but I feel like I can't not talk about it because it's so in my mind and it might come up because I feel like now listeners, I guess, first of all, welcome to the Adam and Andy podcast.
Welcome.
I'm one of your hosts, Nicole.
I'm your other host, Sarah.
And on this podcast, we worship the filmographies and TVographies of our two favorite actors, Adam Driver and Andy Samberg. And today we're talking about The Man Who Killed Don Quixote, which is a film that is a lot about the art and the artist. And so I feel like I feel like Bo Burnham is going to come up for me today. It just can't not come up.
Okay.
Anyway,
fair.
But listeners, if you haven't seen Inside,
it's incredible.
Fucking incredible. Wrap yourself in a very warm blanket and get into a dark room. And get inside. It's really good.
It's very good.
Sarah, I thought you were wearing a scarf. Like I thought you had like taken the, scarf motif of this film and I thought you embraced it. So you're telling me this is not a scarf that you're wearing.
This is a headband.
Oh my God, it's really cute
with tails. So these are attached to my headband.
You look like Stevie Nicks right now. You look like an amazing bohemian goddess.
Aw, thanks. I thought I was like, I want to do a headdress.
Yes.
Like
something pastoral. Maybe.
But I didn't. This is the closest thing I had to a headdress. So
well, you look amazing. I mean, it's who among us does have one of like a wicker chair type headdress That is, I
Who
don't know the
indeed?
actress's name.
Yeah.
Angelica is the name of the character, but God, I feel like we should just dive. I mean, we got news, Adam and Andy news first, but I feel like we got to dive in head first because
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I have so much to say.
Yes, me too.
I feel like this is going to be a
It's
lot.
gonna be a longie.
It's going to be a longie. Strap in, listeners. This is going to be a longie. But first, let's get into some Adam and Andy news, shall we?
Yes.
So let me go ahead. I've got some visual aids today. So first of all, let me just. There we go. First of all, the Annette poster. Now, listeners, second full disclosure. We're full of full disclosures today. The last time we recorded was several weeks ago because Sarah, you went on vacation.
Yeah.
So a lot of things happened while we were not recording, and so some of this news is going to feel not like new news, but it's new for the show. So we're going to cover it. So there's a new Annette poster, or there was a couple of weeks ago. So I wanted to. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, but this is the official poster for Annette. Which, if you're listening to the show, maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't, but it's Adam Driver and Marion Cotillard on a very tumultuous ocean with a big wave.
Walking up a wave.
Or something.
Dancing up a wave.
Dancing up a wave. It looks a bit like the scene we saw in the trailer where they're on the boat.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. Any thoughts about this or any general thoughts about Annette?
Very dramatic.
It looks hella dramatic.
Very intriguing. Reminds me of a combination of some like ballroom dancing film mixed with the perfect storm.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yes, it does. There's something. It is very nautical. You know. I don't know that that's the focus of the movie, but I think it's interesting. I guess maybe if we want to take some meaning out of this, maybe this is going to be a relationship that's going to be on some rough seas. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I think
so. I think so.
So the film is going to be out soon, July
6th.
Yeah, July 6th, which is not too far away, I think. But by the time we record next, Cannes will have already canned up. Con, what should I call it, Sarah? You're the expert in French.
It's Cannes.
Great. I'm glad that I'm showing how cultured I am by pronouncing that correctly. Anyway, so that's the poster. Film's coming out July 6th at the Cannes Film Festival, which by the time next time we record, I think will be probably afterwards. I think after the film. No. Yeah, it'll be around the time that the film premieres. I think maybe afterwards. And then they also released this like special edition vinyl record of the soundtrack, which during the interim, since we last recorded, I did send you a link to the song. Right, it's now on Spotify. Did you have? I know it's been a while. I don't know if I've been listening to it quite a bit. I thought it was fucking. I really liked the song, so I've actually got it on my Spotify playlist. I don't know if what your initial impression of the song is. I don't know if you can remember back that far.
Yeah, it was good. It wasn't something that I wanted to listen to again, but it was definitely good. I liked hearing his voice. His singing voice is the same as his speaking voice.
Interesting.
Which sometimes happens. Like sometimes you can recognize someone's singing voice.
Yes, yeah.
Voice, but like my singing voice is completely different from my speaking voice. But Adam definitely, it sounded like he definitely carried a tune, but it was like his exact voice, so it was very easy to pick him out.
Yes, it was. The thing that I thought was really interesting, and I noticed this after multiple times listening to it, is that initially when they first come in, him and Marion Cotillard, in the song, gosh, my mind just completely went break. It's not, can we start, or shall we start, or something like that. Anyway, when he first comes in, he's singing in a higher register and she's singing in a lower register, which I thought was really interesting because his voice is so low. His speaking voice is so low. So it just kind of made me think about like these musicians, the Sparks Brothers, and there's actually a documentary about them out right now, directed by Edgar Wright. how I know that they are known to be kind of these unusual guys that have this really sort of interesting avant-garde music. And so I thought, oh, I wonder if this is like a sign of things to come of the this movie and this musical being like not what you expect. I don't know. I don't know if I'm reading too much into this, but I'm like, oh wow, they put him in the higher register and her in the lower register, and you would think it would be opposite. I don't know. It was just something I was thinking about when I was listening to the song. Anyway, that's the special edition vinyl. It's like a green record. There's a little bit better of a look at it. I may have ordered it
of course
already
you did, because you have a record player.
I love records, and I fucking really liked that song. So I guess I'm going to be hearing the music before I see the movie.
Nice.
Maybe you can come over and we can like huddle over my record player and listen to it together.
Cool. Wait, we have to
I'm just
huddle?
joking. No, it's probably not a good idea to huddle because it's on a very high cabinet in the corner of the dining room, and so we'd have to
say. I was like, are you gonna take that down?
We'd have to get on a stool. No, I could take the record down. But anyway, so maybe we can listen to it together. If you're into that.
Yeah.
I embarrassingly, because it's coming over from Europe, it cost me as much to ship it as to purchase it. It's absurd. What? But I was like, it's for work. It's for my podcast. So I had, it seemed like a good excuse, right?
Yeah. If anyone should have this record, it's you.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. Mm-hmm. So that's really all the new. Oh, the last bit of Adam news I have is that rumor has it on Twitter that White Noise started filming today.
Okay.
So no pictures yet.
Gosh, but I feel like he just did Gucci, and now he's having to jump into a new role. Like,
yeah, he had a couple weeks off. I mean, I don't know. Like, he was probably stuck in his house for a really long time. If I were him, I would be like, sweet Jesus.
Yeah.
Give me all the acting roles. I think it seems like he just really likes to be working a lot, because I think even when he's not making movies, he was doing shows on Broadway and shit. So
yeah.
He seems like he just likes to work a lot. I mean, you got to get it while you can, if you know what I mean. Like, the Hollywood is a capricious industry, and if you are in demand and people want to work with you and you've got good roles being offered to you, like, I can see not being able to turn those down. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
As someone who may be a workaholic myself.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
Possibly. All right. So last thing, still from the film. This still came out recently. So here's a still from the movie that it's a little bit closer up shot of that scene on the boat. I made it big. Anyway, there you go. There's Wet Adam. Okay. Next, so moving on to Andy. So the big news is Brooklyn Nine-Nine finished shooting last week. Or this week. It's done. They're done. They're wrapped. So a couple of, and I'll put these visual aids up on the old Twitters. So if you go to our episode link, which is usually pinned to the top of our Twitter page, in the replies, I'll put these pictures. Anyway, so this was from, I think, maybe Melissa Fumero's Instagram. Anyway, this is a picture of her and Phil Lord and Christopher Miller and Andy Samberg on the day they filmed the pilot. So that was
Who is
something.
Phil Lord and Christopher Miller?
They are writer directors, and they directed the pilot. Okay. They also wrote and directed the Lego Movie and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And a movie called Miller's versus the Machines, or Mitchell's versus the Machines, which is something that I just watched with my kids. Anyway, so this is that was them on the day of the pilot, and these are some stills. This is a picture of Stephanie Beatrix, Andy Samberg, and Joe Lo Trio on the set of Brooklyn Nine-Nine season 8, wearing their masks. And this is Andy and the creator of the show, Dan. This was the day of the wrap. So I guess they're like giving a speech.
Who's talking? I can't tell. They both look kind of like
generic white guys.
Andy. I mean, they both kind of look like Andy. Is he the one speaking?
Yeah, there you go. He's in the red.
Okay.
He's
That
in the
guy's
red.
tall.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know how tall Andy is. I'll be honest.
Oh, yeah, we
So
don't know how tall he
I
is.
guess that's
How
something
tall
you
is
could
he?
stump me with. Sarah, write it down. You can stump me with this. And then lastly, we have just a picture of Andy's chair from set. So that's it. Bye, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. No, don't tell me now. Stump me with some trivia.
I'm taking a note.
Okay. So that's all the Adam and Andy news I've got. That is so Brooklyn Nine-Nine done shooting, and that's it. So we'll be August 12th is when the show premieres. So, oh, here's what I was gonna say. Because we always have to work things out on air, we can't do it in the privacy of our own lives. But so I know we've been watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine in order, and I have a proposal to you. When
No. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
well, fuck me. When season 8 premieres, what if we put a pause on the rewatch and watch season 8 in real, so that we're watching it week as they come out every 2 weeks? I feel like we'll be able to watch it even if we missed a couple things. Like we know that Andy, we know that Jake and Amy got married. We know that they had a baby. I feel like that's all we know.
I didn't know that.
Oh, well, you do now. Spoilers. You can think about it, but I honestly really, really want to watch the show as it happens. And I feel like here's my proposal to you, Sarah, because I know that I know I can see that you're getting some trepidation here. What if we watch season 8 as it's happening? Because I really want to experience it with the rest of the fans as it comes out. And then we'll continue our rewatch and we will still watch season 8 when it's time. But that will be so long from now, Sarah. If we wait 4 episodes at a time, it's gonna be like 3 years before we see season 8.
Yeah. I mean, okay. I've only seen the first like 2 or 3 seasons of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, so I really don't know the story arcs.
Sure.
And I really hate watching things out of order. Like it's one of my like pet peeves.
Ooh.
It's
well,
one of my like weird things.
We can continue to talk about it. But
Okay.
I think it'll be better I think it'll be more fun to watch it while other people are watching it. And then circle back. And I do think it's not like The Handmaid's Tale, you know, like I feel like if there's a couple of stories that we missed, like we'll get to re-experience it again when we come back to it after watching it all through. Anyway, I just want to put it out there. I just want you to perhaps adjust to the idea of that happening. Listeners, maybe you could weigh in. Tweet at us at AdamAndyPod. Let's see what the listeners want. Would you rather us continue rewatching Brooklyn Nine-Nine? We're currently in season 1. Or when Brooklyn Nine-Nine season 8 premieres, would you like us to take a sidetrack to watch season 8 and then we'll circle back to the rewatch? Tweet at us at AdamAndyPod. Tell us what you think. I'm just gonna put that in the universe.
Okay.
You ready to talk about this movie?
Yeah.
Okay. The Man Who Killed Don Quixote. 2018, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, or at least that's when it was released. I think it was shot in 2017. We've got some information about the very tumultuous past of the making of this movie, but we're going to save that for a little bit later. So for now, we're just going to focus on the movie and we'll get back to that. I did try to watch He Dreams of Giants, which is the documentary. Could not find it. I tried. People on Twitter tried to help me find it. It's not available in the US. And I couldn't find it through my usual shady means either. So I think because it was recently released streaming like in April and basically March, it was released in the UK and Norway online. I think it probably will be released soon in the US. It just hasn't yet.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I'll watch it and follow up when that is available. Okay, there's just like I just don't even know where to start. There's just so much.
I like wrote down the plot and then I wrote down the bullet points of things I want to discuss.
Well, first of all, like, what do you know about the book Don Quixote? Do you know anything about it? Did you do any? I didn't do any research on this. I'm not going to lie.
I also did not do any research on the book. I was like doing research on the film and then trying to like piece together what happened in the plot and then trying to like work through my own thoughts and opinions and like list those because there's a lot of that. But like in terms of the book, there is an aspect to the book that I was aware of when I was a kid that I remember, and that's the only aspect that I remember, and it's that the character Sancho Panza kind of placates and indulges Don Quixote in his fantasies because Don Quixote, the character, is kind of, I don't know if he's crazy or if he's just
out of touch with reality.
Yeah. And so Sancho Panza, the character in the book, was kind of the like, okay, sure.
So he's an enabler.
Yes. Or someone who believes in someone who believes in Don Quixote.
Okay, got it.
Knows he's not
crazy
in touch with reality, but
doesn't discount him like other people do. Okay.
Yes. So which is in line with how Sancho Panza is portrayed in this film. Like
correct. Yeah. I would say so. Yeah. I think I considered looking up a synopsis of the book, and I also chose to look at the making of the film more than the book. I didn't read it. So I'm going in here willfully ignorant. I do remember the story of Don Quixote on a surface level. I remember the whole thing about the windmills, and that's a very famous scene where Don Quixote is like, "Oh, the windmills are giants." Like, I knew all that. But beyond that, I don't know how much of the movie is an adaptation of the book. It seemed like when we were watching, because I've seen this movie now twice. I watched it with you the second time. Other people that were watching with us had, I guess, read the book and indicated that maybe some of the scenes in the movie were scenes that were kind of remixed from the book. But I'm just going to freely admit that I don't know that much about the book.
Yeah, no.
So we're really just going to focus on the movie then. Sarah, I'm going to throw the ball to you. Where do you want to start? What's your first bullet point?
I guess my first bullet point is the character of Toby, played by Adam Driver. Just like, who is this guy? So he is a commercial director in the present day.
Yes.
He's rude to his underlings. He's rude to everyone.
He is a straight up dick.
He's a dick.
He's a dick. He's a selfish dick.
Like right off the bat, the first shot, it's just like, actually not the first shot. The first shot is like from.
Well, he's in the first shot we see of him is him in the chair, not paying attention to the shoot at all. He's on his phone.
Yeah. And shortly thereafter, we see that his boss, which I looked it up, the character doesn't have a name. The character's called the Boss.
Okay. Played by Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the boss tells him, look after my wife. And I really I really hate that.
I want to put a pin in that because I feel like we need to have a whole bullet point just about the way women are treated, portrayed, and written in this movie. I have a lot of things to say about that.
Oh yeah, me too.
Although before we get any further, I want to get back to Toby. Before we get any further, did you like this movie? Did you enjoy this movie?
I liked who I saw it with.
Okay.
I liked aspects of it. I liked the set design, the costume, like everything looked great. Everything sounded great.
So you appreciated the execution.
Yes. The writing and the convolutedness and the ridiculousness and the length.
It was very long.
Really bugged me.
It felt very long.
Yeah.
I'm going to be real. The first time I watched this, I did not like it. The first time. I watched it like a week ago because I've seen a lot of Terry Gilliam's work before. I've seen 12 Monkeys. I've seen Baron Munchausen. I've seen Time Bandits. I'm as most comedy people. I was a big fan of Monty Python, so I've seen his work with Monty Python. So I knew going into it that this movie was going to be fucking weird. So I was like, I need some time to digest. And I can't do my usual thing where I watch the movie like right before the fucking recording. So I watched it like a week ago and I did not like it. In fact, I sent you a series of GIFs because we have a rule. We're not allowed to talk about the movie. Even when we watch it together, we're not allowed to talk about it until the show. So but I sent you a series of GIFs. And if I recall, it was John C. Reilly being confused from multiple angles. Yeah. Anna Kendrick looking annoyed and scratching her head, right? Yeah, it's like, huh? And then Michael Scott from The Office whispering, "Is it over yet?" I did not like this movie the first time. Of course, I thought that the execution was good. It's a well-made movie. Of course, I thought Adam's performance was excellent and Jonathan Pryce was excellent. Oh, everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone in the movie excellent. I was surprised to say that now while I still felt the movie was very long, still feel that GIF stands. I stand behind that. I found myself enjoying the movie much more the second time. Because I think I was able to appreciate the comedy angle of the absurdity more. Like I think I saw the comedy in the film more the second time, whereas the first time I think I was just trying to be like, what the fuck is happening?
Perhaps this is because I was like laughing.
And yeah, maybe because we were watching it together, I think that may have made it more enjoyable. Also, I think I was able to see I think I was really leaning into the pretentiousness of the movie the first time, where I was like, ugh, kill me, please. Like filmmakers like Toby, I can't stand them. Like I literally cannot. And Toby represents like the most like pretentious, insufferable type of filmmaker to me. And I don't know that he changes that much through the course of the film, but we can talk about that. And I think I really was bothered by that. But then when I saw it the second time, I think I saw more of the parody, or not the parody, but the satire of it a bit more the second time. I still have a lot of problems with the way women are portrayed in this movie, and we'll talk about that. That did not change. That carried over from both viewings. But I enjoyed it a lot more the second time. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
So back to Toby. Oh, you go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I mean, I already said it. I enjoyed parts of it. I didn't enjoy parts of it. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't great.
It wasn't maybe something that really spoke to you.
Yeah.
But not miserable to watch like Tracks.
No.
Wow, I didn't even get that sentence out. It's like you knew immediately what I was going to say. Let's get back to Toby. So Toby is a commercial director, but everyone kind of considers him this artistic genius. So I want to say that this isn't just he's a marketing commercial director, but I think his backstory is that he was a filmmaker as a young person who had aspirations to be an artist, and then because of the attention he got from his student film,
The Man Who Killed Don Quixote,
or Don Quixote. I don't know.
It was called. At some point he had a line that said it was called The Man Who Killed Don Quixote.
Okay. Well, anyway, his film attracted attention, which got him the commercial work, and now he's kind of, I don't know. Do you think he's happy doing this commercial work? It doesn't seem like it. No. He seems like he's just kind of going through the motions. It doesn't seem to be very fulfilling to him. Do you like Toby?
No.
He's insufferable. I think he might be one of the least appealing characters that Adam Driver has ever played that I've seen. Yet somehow he's still fuckable. Like, I don't know why he's so, like, Toby is hot, but insufferable. Like, I wouldn't want to speak to him.
Yeah.
But yet he is super hot. I don't know if you agree, but that's what I felt
that's like. Adam Driver just is good looking. So any character he plays is going to be hot looking. But the personality will either reinforce that or make it more difficult to find him hot. This one definitely made it more difficult.
Yes, because your attraction is based on personality for you, which totally makes sense. For me, I found Toby to be very attractive and hot, but I would not want to talk to him. Like, I think he's somebody you could have a one night stand with him on a film shoot, and then but you got to get out of there before he starts talking to you about his favorite Fellini film. Like, you got to get the fuck out. You got to get out. You got to make an excuse and get out. Okay. Is there a significance between Toby, the character now, and Toby, the young man making a film, the film student? Is there a significance between those two difference between those two guys?
He seems more hopeful and more filled with playfulness.
Yes, I can see that.
And there's not a cynicism. He still is a dick.
Yes.
But there's not that
still
cynical,
selfish.
still selfish.
Yeah.
But he's not kind of like a tired, ugh.
He's engaged with his work.
Yes.
But also still treats other people like props in his own movie, I think.
Yes.
Which is a thing that he does throughout the movie, is treat other people like props. I think the journey we're supposed to see is him seeing that his actions have consequences. I don't know that it changes him tremendously, and we can talk about that, but it is something that I think that's the journey that he's on, is that his actions as an artist have consequences. Young Toby is, I think that what you said, hopeful, is a good way to describe it. More engaged.
The first shot of him as a young man, where he's far off, if you see Javier, the shoemaker, in the foreground, and then you see him in the background, coming closer, just his face, even though it's very small on the screen, he just has this kind of
very dewy-eyed,
hopeful,
you'd want to, maybe you're on set and you're on a location shoot and they can only afford one porta potty, and maybe you give him a hand job behind the porta potty, but then you don't stick around to talk to him because he's going to bore you talking about Peter Bogdanovich's films, and you got to get out of there. You got to get out before he starts talking about The Last Picture Show.
Oh my God.
All right. So he's a commercial director. He used to be an artist, and he's having trouble finding inspiration for his Don Quixote inspired commercial.
Yeah, why does he have that commercial? That's very odd.
I mean, if you're gonna pick somebody to make a commercial, I guess the guy that makes movies about Don Quixote would be the one, right?
Yeah,
it is kind of strange. Are all of his commercials Don Quixote based? Does he do baked beans commercials with Don Quixote? Is he doing shampoo?
By the way, what is this commercial for?
I don't think they never tell us. I'm not sure that it matters.
Okay.
The guy that the account they're trying to get is for a Russian vodka, but I didn't know what the one for this was. I couldn't figure it out personally. I don't know. If we missed something, listeners, tweeted us at AdamAndyPod. What the fuck is this commercial about? We don't know.
What is it about? What should it be about?
It's not about windmills.
What product would Don Quixote sell?
Great question. What product would Don Quixote sell? Okay, let's see. So he's having difficulty having inspiration, and so okay, I'm going to throw it over to you. What's your next bullet point? Because we could talk about reality, or what is reality in this movie. I feel like it's maybe I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
Well, the inciting incident that starts him off on this path to madness is that he and Jackie, the boss's wife,
look after my wife.
Oh God, yeah. They start to canoodle. Is that the right word?
Did you just say canoodle?
I mean,
wait,
I guess
you got to
so.
back this up though, because he's at the restaurant and the guy is bringing around bootleg films, and he happens to have Toby's student film is one of the films, the bootleg films.
Yeah. Oh, so, the guy. That guy. Yeah.
That guy. Gosh, I wish I had written down that actor's name. The guy. I don't want to call him the gypsy because that is such a insulting name. Like it's like it feels very, it's like a racist term. So I don't, I realize that it just came out of my mouth anyways, but that's what that's what other people call him in the movie. But that actor was amazing. And every time he was on screen, I wanted more of him.
He was delightful.
Yeah.
Full of personality.
Mm-hmm.
So he had the film, and
yes.
Toby was just like, what?
Yeah, I mean, Sarah, can you imagine if you're like a big time director and, we're at a restaurant trying to come up with, ideas for your tampon commercial, and then somebody waltzes in with a bunch of movies and Dick Pic Professional is in there?
I would be like, yeah, that's mine.
Yeah, I'm the director of Dick Pic Professional. Anyway, so you were saying he buys the movie or whatever. I don't know. He steals it. I don't know.
So Jackie kind of like works her way.
They're making out.
They're making out, and then the boss comes and knocks on the door. Says,
before that, while they're making out, he decides to watch the movie instead.
Oh yeah.
Like they're making out, and then he's like, "Oh wait, there's a DVD player in here," which honestly is exactly what an auteur filmmaker would do. Would be like, I know that we're having a person-to-person moment here, but I actually need to go watch my own movie.
Yeah. Oh man.
And then the boss interrupts him. Yeah.
Yes, and he manages to narrowly escape. He runs off, and the boss can only see the back of him.
And he's wearing the hat. Remember, she took the guy's hat. I didn't notice that the first time because I was like, how do you think Adam Driver looks like that other guy? Like, I mean, they don't look anything alike other than they have black hair. It's not the same length. They're not the same body type. There's literally nothing about them that looks similar. So I wasn't really sure how the boss confused the guy at the restaurant with Toby, but it's because he's wearing the guy's hat. And I didn't see it the first time.
Yeah.
He's wearing the hat and he runs past him.
Yeah. So that was upsetting. Like, I'm always upset by infidelity.
Okay. Yeah, he didn't seem to have any qualms about it whatsoever. And listeners, if you think that we're not going to talk more about the makeout scene, we will. I'm just saving it for my moments of thirst.
Okay. Me too.
Okay. So I feel like the next thing I'd like to talk about is how women are portrayed in this movie. Like women.
The next thing?
Why? Are we still talking about the other thing?
What other thing?
Oh, like we were talking about the... Oh wait, what were you wanting to talk about? I feel like I steamrolled.
Oh no, I just feel like there's so much plot. I guess we shouldn't go through the plot.
I don't want to go through the plot. I feel like if it comes up, we know that. So the basic plot, if you haven't seen The Man Who Killed Don Quixote, I don't feel like this conversation is going to make a whole lot of sense, but basically he goes on a journey where he kind of finds himself in the Don Quixote story.
He comes across Javier, who has decided that he is Don Quixote,
who was the actor in his student
film, and then Toby just ends up having to go along with him to escape police.
Yes. And we're not gonna. I don't think we're gonna go through the plot beat by beat because I don't even think that's the point of the movie is the plot. Yeah. You know, I want to talk about the themes more. Okay. So a couple of things. Let's talk about the women. I want to talk about that. I feel like I need to. There's a couple of things. And right at the beginning, when we go to that flashback where we see Toby as a young man, I mean, he's still young. I don't really know what to say, but younger Toby talking about his movie. He's trying to decide who to cast as Dulcinea. And he says that they need someone who's beautiful and pure. So, Sarah, what would you like to say about women? Movie?
There's a lot. I did take notes about that. So we have two women who are like the only two.
Three if you count Sarah, the script soup,
and the
producer. I'm not really
Melissa.
Sure. Melissa. Oh, he called her Sarah,
and then she was like Melissa.
Oh fuck. Sorry.
But then at the end, she was like Melissa, and she was like Sarah. So
they swapped the names. So it doesn't matter what her name is. Of course it doesn't.
No,
because of course it doesn't. Yeah.
So, but there's also the woman with the cleavage who led
Yes,
them
at
to a
the
different
village. Yeah,
the village. But
yeah.
anyway, the two
Mains.
bigger main female roles are Jackie and Angelica.
Yes, and Jackie's the boss's
Jackie
wife.
and the boss's wife. Yes, I'm sorry, I just hated that.
Didn't like that
But
part.
she is the I hate this term, but I think the movie believes this. She is like sex crazed. She's like
Yeah, they definitely
seductress. Like
the archetypes of these women are so tired and archaic.
Yeah.
And I understand that the movie is about archetypes, and maybe there's something in the book that would lead me to believe that this is necessary, but I'm exhausted by the idea that women are whores or angels, and that the men possess them and abuse them physically when they step out of line. I mean, that's the kind of movie this is. Yeah. And I'm just so exhausted, Sarah. This was the thing about the movie I disliked the most. Yeah. I enjoyed a lot of things about this movie. The women, like, even if that's the archetype, like, isn't there a smarter way to comment on it than just
have her like attack him and just be like like she literally, like, the way she was acting, the thing she was saying was like, this is not a human person. This
the way
like,
all the men talk about her, and a lot of the men were caricatures as well. I get that, but it's just like, I'm exhausted. Is there no other way? Was there no other way to have women in this movie other than to be like, women are whores or they're angels and there's no in between, and you can be an angel who's a fallen angel who's also a whore? And I don't even like using the word whore, but that's what they're saying in the movie.
I was right about to say, that's literally what I wrote down. I wrote down that Jackie is the whore,
yes,
quote unquote,
yes,
and Angelica is the virgin, quote unquote, turned whore,
exactly,
quote unquote.
Yes, that Toby wants to save.
Damsel in distress.
Yeah. And I hate I don't like using the word whore in this way. That's literally what they call her in the movie.
But also that is the actual name of the archetype.
Okay.
Yeah.
And nothing, like, anyway, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted by it. Like, as soon as Jackie shows up in the limo the next day after getting caught by her husband with Toby, who he thinks is the other guy, and she's got the big bruise under the glasses, I was like, fuck you. You know what I mean? I was just like, fuck this movie. And I like I said, there's a lot of things I liked about this movie, especially the second time around. The women was not one of them.
Yeah. So I felt also the same way. So, like, when I saw the bruise, I was like, okay, this is another situation. Okay, let me get to the next thing. So Angelica, when she does something, I forget what she does to make her have to lick something off of her husband's
the boot licking. The boot licking. Okay.
What did she do?
Okay, can we come back to that? Because I need to back this up for a second.
Okay.
Angelica, we see her. Angelica was in Toby's movie, the student film, when she was 15. So, Sarah, I don't know about you, but I spent the first, like, 2/3 of the movie thinking that she was an adult woman.
Oh, yeah.
And then when they say that she was 15, I was like, excuse me? Like, what is so Toby is an adult man. Like, even if he was in film
21,
school, he was at least
23.
20, at the youngest he was 20, right? 18 maybe at the youngest.
You don't get to film school when you're 18, right?
You can get in. No, film school, you can do undergrad.
Oh, okay.
So at the youngest, he was 18, 19, which I'm going to guess he was in his 20s at least.
He was.
So, and she's 15? Mm-hmm. Okay, first of all, this is not the first time I've seen a Terry Gilliam movie where a 15-year-old is sexualized. Mm-hmm. Baron Munchausen has a scene with Uma Thurman, who was I think 17 when she filmed it. As Venus de Milo, like, nude, and like 17. I remember she was 17. I remember thinking to myself when I saw it, I was like, is this necessary? Like, is it necessary to have a child portraying Venus de Milo Also, like, was it necessary for Angelica to be 15? Could she not have been 18? If the idea is that Angelica is this innocent, gag me, if Angelica is this innocent character who's in a small village and then Toby blows through town and his movie has her like wanting stardom and she gets corrupted by that, can that story not take place with her being an 18-year-old to start with?
Well, then it's not a full corruption. It's just partial corruption. The filmmaker wanted us to see her fully corrupted from a child to.
I invite male directors and Terry Gilliam specifically to consider that adult women are sexual and sexy, like a fully grown adult women, not 15-year-olds.
No.
And that you can have an adult woman who has a journey. An adult woman can have this journey. She doesn't need to be 15. It was like fucking gross to me.
Yeah.
I feel like Adam as an actor, did his best to not seem disgusting in the scenes with her. Like, I felt like there was something that was something trying to be friendly about it. But when you have a 15-year-old girl jump into your arms and wrap her legs around you in that scene where they're in the desert filming, like there's no way around it, you know? And yes, Toby years later, I'm going to assume there's been about a 10-year gap between the student film and the present day. That's in my head. That's my headcanon. So adult Toby is now falling in love with adult Angelica, which is fine. But like, it wasn't necessary for her to be that young in the flashbacks, and I'm grossed out by it thoroughly.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just had to rant about that for a very long time. No, I'm so tired of it.
I'm tired of it too, and I don't understand why she needed to become an escort. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I feel like that.
No, sex work. There's nothing wrong with sex work, but this movie portrays it as something is wrong with it. As bad, yes.
I feel like there are lots of stories where sex work is portrayed as being this horrible thing that someone has to do because they have no other choice, or
it's the ultimate corruption.
The ultimate corruption. And she's ashamed by it when she tells him, like, you can see on her face she's ashamed.
Really? I didn't think so. I did not get that.
She was like, and a lot of it was escort work.
Yeah, I see. I think that was more like more like disappointment for her movie career not working out. That's how I interpreted that. Less than I didn't feel like, at least the actor's interpretation was that Angelica felt shame about that specifically. I think it was more like my career didn't work out. That's how I interpreted it, but I'm not saying your interpretation is wrong. I'm just saying that's how I interpreted it.
Okay.
And she has a lot of bruises, like weird bruises. Like what the fuck? At first I thought she maybe had some kind of skin disease. But from a distance we can see lots of bruises on her body.
Yeah, I don't know
when she's changing in front of him in her bra, as you do.
Yeah.
As you do.
Yeah, I didn't understand how women were portrayed. Like, I didn't like what I don't mean I didn't understand how they were. I just don't understand how someone could make that choice.
They're props.
Portray them in this way
in the film. Like, Toby treats people like props, and I feel like the women in this movie, by the director who made the movie, on the real director, treated them like props as well.
Yeah,
they're not human beings with any depth of any kind.
No.
Don Quixote gets Jonathan Pryce's character Don Quixote gets depth and a journey. Even Raoul gets depth. The bar owner. And of course Toby does, because it's his story. But the women are no. There's no journey for them.
Can we go back to the boot
Yes, please. Can we?
So what did she do? I missed the part before.
Okay, so, and again, audience, we're jumping around the plot because we're not really going to summarize the plot. We're just kind of jumping around to topics, so I hope that's okay. So Toby, during his journey with Don Quixote, comes across, and I want to talk about reality in a second and how it's used in this movie, but specifically, here's what happens. He's with Don Quixote. They come across a group of people dressed in medievalish. Not medieval. I'm not really sure what period this is, but it looks medievalish garb, and it's the group from the shoot, and they're all doing some kind of party for the Alexei guy, who's the Russian vodka guy that the boss is trying to get the gig with. Anyway, Angelica turns out to be his girlfriend? Question mark?
Wife?
Not wife. I don't think wife.
Not wife?
Okay. And so while they're there, when Alexei is introduced to Toby, there's clearly a rapport between Angelica and Toby, and it makes Alexei jealous. And also he has photographs of Toby talking to Angelica while she's standing there in her bra, as you do. And so and Sarah, you know how I feel about people eating on screen. Like, you checked in with me. I was
grossed out. We were all grossed out.
We were all grossed out.
What was it, like an oyster?
I don't know. I thought it was maybe like cottage cheese on top of a Ritz cracker with maybe some maybe some like salsa verde on top. I'm not sure. It was very moist and squishy. Maybe it was a puff pastry. I don't know, but the sound of it was wet.
It was like, I'm not going to do it.
It was wet. It was very wet.
Yes.
And he bit into it. Props to the sound design department. It was revolting.
It was disgusting. Yeah.
And the creamy cottage cheese-like mixture dropped onto his boot intentionally.
Yeah.
And he made her clean it up with her by licking it up.
Yeah.
Oof.
So when I saw it, I saw him eating it and dropping it and then her licking it up, but I just assumed that she had done something to displease him that made him be like, you need to lick this up.
I think it's because her and Toby were joking and laughing together. And because of the photos of her and her bra.
Yeah.
I think he thinks that there's something going on between them. And so what she said is that she tells Toby he had to remind me who I belong to.
Oh, barf. Yeah, I forgot that line. Yeah.
Anyway, the female characters in this movie, I get that it's based on Don Quixote, which is this old idea of chivalry, as they call it, and like women and damsels in distress. I get that. I totally understand that intellectually on a literature analysis level, but that doesn't mean that the movie can't think beyond that. And I feel like the movie can't think beyond it, and I'm fucking tired. Fucking tired.
Yeah, so I guess what I went to say about the bootlicking thing and the seduction Jackie thing and the punch in her bruise,
all the violence against women, constant violence.
I feel like
domestic abuse.
I feel like men who write that stuff feel that they always follow it up with the man who comes in to save them, protect them, help them,
is the savior character.
So they use the violence to bring in the male character who will save them.
So the domestic violence becomes a motivator, an opportunity for character development for the male characters, which is what I fucking hate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what happened here.
Yeah. Yes.
And she even commented on it.
Barf. She
even said, "Are you going to save me, or like, are you here to save me, or something?" And I was like, "Ugh."
Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I don't know if you have anything else to say about that. I feel like I said all I had to say.
Yeah.
The next thing I want to talk about, I think, is directly related to I want to give you an opportunity to interpret what you think the whole thing is about. But I was trying to kind of parse out what is the meaning of this film. Like, what does Don Quixote actually mean to Toby? And to me, the conclusion I came to was that art is destructive, but also restorative. And let me parse that out here.
One thing, is this the last point you're making?
No.
I have... Okay.
No. I have a feeling this is going to be a supersized episode.
Okay.
But this is a theme that runs through the whole movie, so I feel like we got to talk about it. So art is destructive, right? To me, Don Quixote is the representation of Toby's art. So he's this commercial director who got this commercial work because of his art, and he's forgotten that about himself. And I feel like this, in watching it again, it seems like they're really trying to lay this out for you. Then he like comes across the village, right? He finds the village where he made the original movie. He comes across Don Quixote. He literally walks through the movie screen to Don Quixote, who then barrels into his life and kind of forces him on this journey where he has to contend with his imagination and what's real and what isn't, right?
Yeah.
So the part where I think they talking about art being destructive is that literally everyone whose lives have been touched by Toby in his movie have kind of been fucked up. The town is empty. Raoul is like a shell of a man. Angelica is, as we've said in the movie's eyes, doing stuff that is bad, and her life has been ruined, and she's this damaged goods. And even even Javier has become this like crazy person who thinks he's Don Quixote. So I don't know. What do you think about that? Like, does the movie saying that art is destructive? Like, what is the meaning of all that?
So it's kind of similar to that, in that I made the connection between the plot of Toby going to a different country and kind of like using people as actors and crew and stuff. And I was like, wait, but didn't Terry Gilliam go and shoot this in a different country and use local people?
Yes.
Like, is he commenting on his own self, or is he like is he completely oblivious to the fact that?
That's a good question.
Like, it just seems so like blatantly like, like,
well, I mean, to me, it feels like whether or not he is saying this about himself, it seems to me that that when you make a movie, you come in and you fuck up the place that you're at and you use all those people. And then once it's over, you just leave them behind. That's what that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah. And I'm just curious, like, as a filmmaker, how does Terry feel about that? Like, what is his opinion? I couldn't tell.
Hopefully we'll get. That's why I wanted to watch this documentary. Hopefully we'll get some insight when we watch the documentary eventually. But yeah, I think that's fair. Like, I mean, that's literally what he did. And I mean, we didn't talk about this too far off in the past, but there was an actor who worked on this film who was very displeased with her experience, who would argue that it was traumatizing for her and that it was something that came in and gave her a bad experience.
Yeah.
A Portuguese actress. So I want to put a pin in the art is restorative part a little bit, but I feel like for a large part of the movie, it's about Toby just kind of destroying everything he touches. He has a lot of opportunities to make a choice to be a better person and doesn't. But then it seems like once Angelica enters the picture, he starts to regain his humanity a little bit. I don't know if you felt that way. He seems like the first time he realizes that other people have consequences as a result of his actions, I feel like is when Angelica's talking to him about at the lake or stream or waterfall, and she's explaining to him what's happened to her since they last saw each other, and he's like, oh, I really fucked things up for you. I feel like that's the first time he sees anyone outside of himself.
Well, I don't know, the way he said that, like his tone made me feel like he was being like defensive and accusatory, kind of like, oh, well, I guess I fucked things up for you.
Oh, I did not read it that way at all. I read it more as a realization, like, oh, I just realized that I fucked things up for you. I didn't even consider that you had a life outside of my movie. That's how I read it. But it's okay for us to read it in different ways.
I guess because her next line was, don't flatter yourself like I would have done it anyway, or I wanted to get out of here, or like,
well, she said I didn't want to do laundry for the rest of my life.
I didn't want to do laundry for the rest of my life. Yeah. Which that response made me think that she interpreted him as being like, oops, my bad. Like, kind of, I don't know, like,
I think it was more like he did fuck things up for her, but she didn't want to give him the autonomy over her life that suggested it was his fault. So what was your so again, like, I feel like Don Quixote is like his art, and he's sort of getting more and more wrapped up in the fantasy of it. One of the first lines that's said in the film, and that is and it's said by that assistant guy, "We become what we hold on to." And so I feel like Toby's like holding on to this idea of what he was as an artist, but hasn't been able to carry it into his work, you know, in the present day, and that going back in and sort of getting wrapped up in this fantasy gets him back in touch with his art, but then maybe a little too much, because it seems like then he gets like trapped inside of the fantasy. I don't know. I don't want to jump too far to the end there, but I want to give you an opportunity to kind of give us, like, what did you parse out about the meaning of this and his relationship to his art? I just wanted to talk about that.
But what did I?
Yeah, because you've also
the meaning of that line, or the meaning of the film, or
I guess just like you said you were trying to figure out what the meaning of it was, and I without putting any limits on that, I kind of wanted to, like, earlier in our discussion at the beginning, you said I spent a lot of time trying to figure out, like, what does this mean, and I just, that's what I think it means, is that Don Quixote is a representation of Toby's art, and that he gets sucked into it and then later kind of becomes lost in it, I guess. That's sort of
that feels like a good interpretation. I didn't even think about that. I just had landed on I don't know what it means, but that makes a lot more sense. That I just like, I guess I was kind of distracted by the fact that Terry took so long to make this film, and so it felt almost like commenting on his own, like what you just said, that
I don't
line,
disagree.
like, you become what you hold on to.
Yeah.
It's like,
why are you still making this movie?
I know.
I actually think there's no way to separate those two things. And I also, just to circle back to Bo Burnham's Inside, which is also a lot about art and the artist, and I'm thinking specifically of like the fact that a lot of, like, throughout the movie, Don Quixote keeps saying to Toby, "Why is everything about you? Why does everything have to be about you?" And there are a lot of jokes in Inside by Bo Burnham about how, like, specifically I'm thinking of the song where he says, "I want to do something to change the world, but still get paid and be the center of attention." And I feel like that's kind of the crux of the problem as an artist, is that in order to make art, we kind of have to look inside ourselves more than we probably should. We, as artists, we kind of have to navel gaze a bit. But we're also doing it because we want to be seen. Or we could just think about life and interpret the meaning of life, and or even make art and not show it to anyone, but that's not why we're doing it, right? We're doing it, I could watch movies by Adam Driver and Andy Samberg and just think about them, or just literally talk to you about them, but instead I gotta have a fucking show that no one asked for, where everyone has to listen to me talk about it. So it's like, we have this need to communicate and be seen and have our work reflected back at us. And I think there's something to that as well. Like, yes, Terry Gilliam could have given up on this movie. Should he have? I don't know. But he was obsessed with it, and he had to make it. And so I think you can't really separate the obsession of the director with this story from the obsession of Toby with his own story that he's trying to tell as well. I don't think you could separate those two things. So Sarah, what did you want to talk about next?
So I have I usually take issue with how mentally ill people are portrayed in films.
Yes.
They're portrayed usually in kind of a one-dimensional, kind of archaic kind of way, without a lot of empathy. It's like, oh,
yes,
well, he's just nuts.
Yes.
So I feel like that was still the case in this film. I feel like there were some characters who tried to pretend to be from that era, the Don Quixote era, to kind of make him feel comfortable and bring him home, or
Yeah, at some point, the guys from the village show up and challenge him into a joust, trying to get him out of his headspace and come back home.
Yeah. Which was nice, but I don't know. I feel like
reality is very
wasn't
blurry in this movie.
Yeah.
So it's like, did that happen? Did that not happen? Which again, I appreciated more on the second time around, the fact that you could logically explain this all away in grounded reality, but also that it doesn't make sense. You know, like
Yeah.
it literally makes no sense.
Yeah.
So is Don Quixote the mentally ill person, or is it Toby? Is Toby imagining all of this?
Oh God, who knows?
I'm just
based
saying.
on how it ends, I don't know.
So who's the mentally ill person then?
Is it both of them?
Maybe.
Is
I
the mental
agree
illness
with you.
transferred?
Perhaps I certainly think there's an implication when. So of course there's we didn't. Gosh, I feel like we're not even scratching the surface here. But there's this party, and then, you know, Toby wants to rescue Angelica, and they have this whole thing where Don Quixote does this performance where he gets really embarrassed, which again, if I want to circle back to art and how art is viewed, it's like Toby's art is on display and everybody's exploiting it, and it's humiliating for him. I think he's the one who's feeling humiliated, in addition to Don Quixote, is that he's humiliated by that whole experience. But anyway, he thinks that Angelica's being burned, and then Jackie is like attacked him wearing Angelica's face. Sex attack. It's a sex attack. And then Don Quixote comes up the stairs and Toby knocks him over with knocks him out the window with a stone pillar or something.
Yeah.
And Don Quixote is dying. And when he does, there's this like lightning storm, and it almost feels like there's some kind of soul transference between Don Quixote and Toby, where Toby has now become Don Quixote, right?
Have you ever heard of folie à deux?
No.
It basically means the madness of two. And it's a French term, but it's a real
I love this.
psychological thing where it's like
mass hysteria?
No, the madness of two.
Okay, so only two do hysteria.
Two people
Got it.
who are in a kind of like psychosis like state. So
kind of like us with this podcast.
Yes. Except we have people enable us.
I know people keep enabling us. Thank you, listeners, for enabling us. Yeah. Anyway, you were saying.
So so this feels almost like I had that thought when he became like, I guess, the next Don Quixote. It's like they kind of, even though for most of it, Toby didn't really believe it or buy into it, he slowly started to, and then at the end it was like, oh yeah, like this is who I am. Like, so that was it's interesting.
Well, he just transforms, like when we see him again at the end, he's writing with Angelica because Angelica's been kicked out. And don't worry, listeners, we will talk about that tango scene. She's the new Sancho, and she's even kind of dressed a bit like Sancho Panza, and he's now wearing his medieval outfit and talking like saying the same things Don Quixote said. It's a great day for adventure, and he fights some giants. Like, he really believes he's Don Quixote, and we see the giants. We see what he's seeing. So he's now become Don Quixote, and I guess now him and Sancho Panza he calls it a new relationship. So I guess it's like, Sancho Panza, but I get to have sex with you.
But it's, I know, right? Like, and that was like a play on the line from Casablanca at the end.
You think?
This is the beginning of a beautiful and interesting relationship.
Got it. Okay. Well, it is a self-referential movie, so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
I see what you mean there. Yeah, totally.
And like, I feel like the word chivalry or chivalry is said so much in this film that I'm kind of curious, like, Toby, like, is this like, I guess one of my questions for you is, did he deserve this? Did Toby deserve what he got?
Did Toby deserve to turn into Don Quixote?
Yes.
Well, in order to answer that, I have to ask you a question first.
Okay, please.
Is Toby better off in the end than he is in the beginning?
Probably. He was a miserable person
he seems happier.
He seems happier, yeah.
So, does he deserve to be happier, then, is the question. I'm not sure if he deserves it, but it seems like he is a dick. But
So maybe he doesn't deserve to be happy.
He's now lost in he's now completely become lost in the world of his imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but which seems to be happier. He seems happy.
Yeah.
Did having to be someone he didn't want to be make him a miserable dick? Maybe. He seemed pretty selfish to begin with.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if I can answer if he deserves happiness. I guess we all deserve happiness. If you look at the scale of shitty people on this in this movie, is Toby the shittiest? No. Alexi is way shittier.
Yeah. The boss.
Alexi is I think Don Quixote Javier is one of the, I guess, better people in this movie if you want to think about, but he's insane.
Yeah.
So I mean, Toby is not the shittiest person we know in this movie, but I guess he's happier. Maybe Angelica might be happier.
Is she happier?
I don't know. Now she's got to babysit Toby, so
yeah.
At least he's cute though. He's pretty. Mm-hmm. It could be worse.
Yeah.
Alexi is fucking disgusting. So
yeah.
You know.
Okay. Can I ask you my second question?
Yes.
Why am I talking like this? Okay.
I want you to talk like that for every podcast now.
If you had written a screenplay or had an idea for a screenplay 25 years ago,
yes,
would you still stand by that idea screenplay now?
Is it Mr. Pleasure?
25 years
ago. Is it the movie that I've literally written that we're hoping to make? Sarah, I can't keep my brain on something for more than 6 months. Sarah, listeners, Sarah and I are currently developing a feature called Mr. Pleasure. It's a I'm not trying to sell you guys anything, but it is like a sci-fi comedy romance about a woman who falls in love with the sex robot she's created. That's the movie that we're developing. Because you and I have made so many shorts, the idea that we would have to hang in long enough to raise enough money to make a feature, that actually is hard to wrap my mind around. To the idea that I would work on the same movie for 25 years, it seems insane. I feel like I would have moved on, but I don't know. Maybe I just haven't met an idea that dug into me that deeply. I feel like at a certain point, you're like, I can't let the movie win. I can't let fate win. I got to make this one way or another. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, what I mean is I like scripts that I come up with or ideas that I come up with. Mm-hmm. They have a shelf life. Like if more than 2 or 3 years passes without me finishing the script or making the thing, then my brain moves on. Like not just moves on, but like I mature past that idea. And so what I'm saying is, how could someone not mature past a 25-year-old idea and still make it? And why did he make it? And what is he trying to say with it? Why did it have to be told? I don't understand.
Good question. I feel like maybe we'd get more insight if we watched the documentary onto why he felt like he needed to make this movie. I do think that ideas can have merit beyond a 3-year shelf life, but I think I think the movie would have to grow with you. So whatever draft of the movie he wrote 25 years ago, I'm sure it's not the same draft that we saw. And I feel like it would have had to have gone through many revisions. The work has to grow with you. So I feel like if the work is growing with you, then don't give up on something if you feel like I have to tell this story. But it can't be the same draft. Like it has to grow. It has to change with the world around you.
I mean, that's the thing. I
don't know if this movie. I agree. But is that because the movie didn't change, or is it because Terry Gilliam, the man, didn't change? I feel like the artist has to change for the work to change.
Yeah, and I guess what I mean is that makes me sad for him.
Well, he did get it made eventually, so I guess we need to give him some kind of applause for sticking with it. It's hard like I said, the idea that you and I are working on a movie right now that may not get made in a year or two. It may take us years to raise the money to get this movie.
You will not be 65 years old when this is made. You will not be 65 years old.
I certainly hope not. If I am, you should slap me around a little bit. Are you ready for moments of thirst?
Yes. I have 3 moments of thirst.
You have 3. Sarah has 3 moments of thirst, ladies and gentlemen. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Should I go first? Do you want to go first? Who should
go
first?
first.
Okay, I'm going to go first. Actually, technically, I have 3 moments. If I can combine these. Number 1, the white pants. I could spend hours talking about those white pants. The way they're like low slung, the way they just hug his tushy. The white pants were magnificent and one of my favorite characters in this movie.
Oh my gosh.
In fact, lots of the costuming. I also like the medieval outfit he was wearing. That was super hot. Even though I don't like the character Jackie, like it's not the actress' fault. I don't like the way she's written. The makeout scene was hot. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. It was hot. There's like a shot where it like his body is like in the frame and his pants drop and she's in the background and he's in the foreground. Hot. That was fucking hottish. That was some hot shit. This movie is horny as fuck. And I knew it would be because I've seen GIFs from it. This is a horny movie, okay? And then my last moment of thirst is all the dancing. Starting with the dancing at the beginning when he's dancing with Melissa/Sarah, whatever her name is. And then that tango between him and Angelica. Perhaps one of the hottest things I've ever seen in a film. So hot.
See, I find bad dancing sexy.
So you need bad dancing. Well, the bad dancing was more in the beginning. But yeah, like her slapping him. Not that I like violence necessarily, but it's like he kind of was asking for it. Like he needed to be slapped. The way they cut it. And then like when they finally came together and they were like, it was like, God, it was just like, oh my God, so hot. I would just watch that on repeat, to be honest with you. And those are my moments of thirst.
My moments of thirst are in the scene with Jackie where he jumps on her. Like there's a moment where he like pounces.
Yes.
And like throws her back. And I'm just like, Eee!
Absolutely.
And my next moment is the show tunes moment.
I knew it! When he was singing the show tunes, I was like, this is going to be on Sarah's moments of thirst list. Guaranteed.
But what's funny is it's not like show tunes aren't.
I know.
Thirsty
I know.
For me,
I just thought you'd think it was cute.
His adorableness.
Yes. Yeah.
His like,
he was like so
cute.
Total theater nerd. Love it.
Third moment is at the end when he gets knocked out and then he looks at Angelica and goes, Sancho?
I agree.
He has the accent. He was so cute.
Oh my God. Yes. Concussed and adorable.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
As you would imagine, I'm normally up for pretty much anything in the bedroom. But I can't tell if what happened was weird or sexy.
Shall we do some Adam and Andy trivia?
Yes.
Let's do some Adam and Andy trivia. So it's a little unusual today. I wanted to talk a bit. So Sarah, I'm going to take the reins from you today. I'm going to take the ball from you if that's okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
I wanted to now we haven't seen the documentary yet, so I'm sure this will fill in some blanks for us, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, because we know that there was a lot of difficulty in making the movie. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, and maybe we'll circle back to it eventually when we actually watch the documentary. So here's some facts about how long it took to make this movie. It actually says Gilliam started working on the film in 1989. I was in 4th grade. He was unable to secure funding until 1998. I was in high school.
God.
When it entered pre-production with a budget of $32 million. Gene Rockford was the original Don Quixote. Johnny Depp was the original Toby. How do you feel about that? Johnny Depp is Toby. Problematic, that guy. Johnny Depp.
But Toby is a problematic character too, so
I can see how 90s Johnny Depp would have fit into this.
Yeah.
Shooting started in 2000, but the sets and equipment were destroyed by flooding. Rockford, who was playing Don Quixote, became ill. They couldn't get insurance for the production, and they eventually had to shut it down. So there is a documentary called Lost in La Mancha, which I also was planning to watch, but I didn't get around to, which is about that movie. So Gilliam kept trying to get the movie up and going between 2003 and 2016. Other people who might have played Toby were Ewan McGregor, Jack O'Connell, who I don't know who that is, Robert Duvall, Michael Palin, and John Hurt were all at one point playing Don Quixote. Johnny Depp eventually became disinterested in the project and backed out. And then John Hurt, I guess, who was the last Don Quixote before Jonathan Pryce, unfortunately was diagnosed with cancer, and he passed away and was not able to play Don Quixote. So in 2017, filming started with Adam Driver as Toby and Jonathan Pryce as Don Quixote. The film was complete in June 2017. 17 years after it was started. So it was 17 years, not 25. And then it premiered in 2018 at the Cannes Film Festival. They also had trouble distributing the film, which is probably why people didn't see it for so long. There was a dispute with the producer of the film. And so Terry Gilliam had trouble getting it released. Although eventually it was released in the United States in April 2019. So that is the story of the man who killed Don Quixote.
Wait, but if he wrote the script in 89, that
well,
would
he said he tried to make it in 89. It may be that he wrote it before that, but
so 89 to 2017 is like almost 30 years.
Right. I guess what they mean is it's 17 years from the time he started filming it the first time.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. He wrote the script in 1989, and so that's fucking 31 years, 32 years. That's like a whole ass adult.
Yeah, that's a whole ass me. I was born in 88.
Wow. So this movie is like Sarah. This movie is your contemporary. It's as old as you. So listeners, we are planning on watching. I'll at least watch the man Lost in La Mancha or whatever. I'll watch that. And then eventually, when He Dreams of Giants is available in the US for us to watch, we'll watch that. We'll follow up with you guys there. But that's I just wanted to get into the weeds a little bit with the difficulties making this film.
Oh, you look awesome. Come the fuck upstairs.
Okay.
But wait, I have to warn you about something.
What?
If you come up here, I'm going to tie you to my bed and keep you for at least 3 days. I'm just in that kind of mood.
Okay. We're not spinning the wheel this week because we know what we're watching. We are watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So let me just pull up the episodes that we'll be watching this week, or for next week, I should say. So we'll be watching, listeners, season 1 episodes 9 through 12. Okay. So the name of the episodes are Sal's Pizza, Thanksgiving, Christmas. So we're going to get some holiday episodes, and the Pontiac Bandit. Ooh, the Pontiac Bandit. That means we get, I'm so excited. I love that character. So Sal's Pizza. Here's a synopsis of each. Jake's favorite pizza place burns down, and he's determined to prove the owner was not responsible. Thanksgiving. Amy hosts a Thanksgiving dinner at her apartment for everyone at the precinct, but it turns into a disaster. Christmas. When Holt receives death threats, he surprisingly puts Jake in charge of his security. And Pontiac Bandit. Jake convinces Rosa to make a deal with a criminal in order to catch a car thief, while Charles makes an awkward return to the precinct and Holt tries to get rid of 2 puppies.
No.
Well, maybe they didn't get along with Cheddar. So that is those are the episodes we're going to be watching next. So Yay. Listeners, it will be back on Brooklyn Nine-Nine next time we see ya. Sarah, all this navel gazing, I'm looking forward to watching something. Look, I'm glad we watched this. I feel like it's interesting that we watched this and Inside so close together because they're both about artists and the art and whether art is destructive or healing. I felt like I didn't feel like healed by watching The Man Who Killed Don Quixote. But I did feel healed by watching Inside.
Yeah.
So those of you guys who haven't seen it yet,
so
go watch that. Well, but we didn't actually go through this, but if you're a fan of Adam Driver's work, would you recommend this movie? The Man Who Killed? Yeah, absolutely.
He did a great job.
He was so good.
Good.
And if nothing else, watch it for the white pants. Like, I felt the white pants to be very restorative. I felt restored by the white pants.
I didn't even know he wore white pants, to be honest.
Well, Sarah, we've talked about...
We have issues.
I
have issues.
Sarah...
No, I'm saying we have a disconnect because I can't see clothing.
Well, you don't see anything from the neck down.
That's true.
You have crotch blindness.
If they're wearing a hat, I see
so
the
you
hat.
saw
You're
the
right.
hat. What about the scarf?
I saw the scarf, yes.
So everything below the scarf, it was like
Below
blurry to you.
Yes.
So, you know,
I have issues.
It's okay. You experienced the film from the shoulders up, and that's fine. That's good. You're still getting... There's still a lot to look at from the shoulders up.